Welcome to another Soccer Down Here 1v1 with, I think this is our most frequent 1v1 guest, and it's been a minute since we've been able to catch up, and I'm excited today to bring Tony Annan back to the Soccer Down Here universe. What's up, Tony?
Oh, hey, Jason.
How is Columbia, South Carolina treating you?
Columbia is nice. It's a very slow pace compared to Atlanta. The traffic is non-existent. It's very, very hot, and I thought Atlanta was hot, but it's very hot here. But yeah, it's very different to ATL, but I'm enjoying it. It's been great.
I'm sure there's not like a day-to-day and what it looks like a daily schedule, because I'm sure it varies, but what has the routine been like for you in adjusting to it, to preparing for a college season that's about to get underway for you?
Yeah, it's different. Obviously, I'll be honest with you, at this university, the resources are abundant, and the support for the players is fantastic. They've got, obviously, sports psychology, nutrition. They've got everything here to support the players. So we're trying to incorporate every resource we've got to try and, train these guys with a holistic approach. Make it as professional as it can, but you've also got to take into consideration school and why they're here is to get an education. So you've got to incorporate that as well. But we've managed to, pre-season's been obviously very short compared to professional or even an amateur club pre-season, which you have to deal with and adapt to. But yeah, like a typical day, we train at 7 a.m. Kids go to class. They come back in and do gym, video. If there's a nutrition or a psychology piece, we put that in the afternoon. And then some days we train in the afternoon and we do gym in the morning. They go to class and they come back in the afternoon and we train. So we kind of flip-flop depending on their schedules, but to be fair, we're getting a full 20 hours a week of touch time with the team, which compared to even a professional academy, I wasn't getting that much time with the players.
Right.
Like 20 hours a week was we probably did half of that, maybe 3/4 of that. So there's differences, but again, it's, trying to approach it holistically and get everything we can out of these players. It's been good. It's been interesting.
When you started to get your head around planning for a season, and you've done this in so many different environments before, how challenging is it in the college world because of that short ramp-up time to the start of the season?
Yeah, it's a big challenge. That's probably the biggest challenge I've had so far, is just to get my head around. I've got 7 days to prepare for my first exhibition game. And then 4 days later, I've got another exhibition game, because I have to get exhibitions in to see where I'm at and see where the players are at. And then, 5 days after that, we're playing our first official home game. So really, your pre-season's 2 weeks. So, if the guys haven't done a lot, or if the guys haven't been training together in captain's practices and haven't been around the school and they're coming in, you don't know what they've been doing, it can cause some problems. To be fair, the group here, I asked them to do a program over the summer, optional. And it looked like most of them did it, because they came in pretty good shape. So we've hit the ground in a pretty good place. But I can't imagine if the guys didn't do that, what we would be facing in this really, really short pre-season.
You've got a couple games under your belt now, a couple of preseason games. The regular season opener is on Thursday, a couple of games before, Clemson trip up the road for you. How do you feel like the team is as you're almost on the eve of games that count?
We're okay. It's been an eye-opening experience, coming from what I feel are the best players in the city to a group of guys that are here for school, but also into their soccer and want to do well, but they're lacking in, I would say, the decision-making department is poor. Speed of play is in a difficult spot. So we've got a lot of work to do. And then obviously adapting to a new system and a new way of playing and the demands of that system when they haven't been put under those demands for the last however long they've been here. They've done a lot of video, which they're not used to doing. So it's been a huge curve for me, but it's also been a massive learning curve for them and a big adjustment to the way I work compared to what they've seen before.
That's fascinating to me in that, you're learning to work in a different way based off what you have around you. And it's been a conversation that we've had in a lot of different arenas here lately with coaches and managers who adapt to what they have to work with, and that flexibility being so important. You've had that in different stages in your career. This is a very different one. Do you feel like you're flexible enough, or are you still learning some of that flexibility as you get into your first college season?
Look, it's part of the reason I took the job, is to broaden my horizons and do something different and shoot off in a different direction and embrace something different to what I've been doing. It's part of the reason that I took this job. So for me to come here and not be flexible and not want to learn and not want to handle the change is against why I really did it. So, yeah, I'm learning. I'm definitely learning, and I'm definitely adapting. My system of play is the same. My rules are the same. My standards are the same. Whether they're being hit or not, I'm still going to keep my standards high, and the way I work the same way, because I feel like I'm in a good place in my career, the way I work and the way I set my teams up. So there's a bit of a learning curve from them to adapt to me. But yeah, look, I think you have to be flexible, you have to adapt, but you've got to stay true to your principles and stay true to your philosophy and try and bring those things closer together. That's coaching at the end of the day, especially when you don't pick your own team and you're inheriting somebody else's team. That's the hardest thing.
Yeah, that's a really big part of this as well. Now, another element that is new for you is college recruiting. And what has that been like for you? And I know you've recruited on the youth side before, but this is a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah, very much. To be honest, I've put more time into recruitment in the last probably 3 weeks than I have into coaching almost, which is crazy, right? Mm-hmm. I've got a good who are really good in the recruitment department as well, but I feel like it's important that I'm heavily involved because I'm trying to bring in players that fit the profile of what we're trying to do and the way we want to play. So I've been heavily involved in the recruitment, and it's hard work. There's 5 or 6 schools on every kid, good schools that have established programs. They've got their choice. They come to visit. You're on trial as much as they're on trial with you, but it's hard work. It is hard work, but when you get them and you land them and they recruit and they accept and they commit, it's a great feeling because you've done well and you've put forth your plan better than the other guys. So, we've got three commits already in our first 3 visits. We've got 4 or 5 offers out at the moment that we're waiting on. But yeah, it's much different, and I think Darren Powell summed it up. Darren's at Miami now, but he was at Elon and UNCG, and he said you're going to have to get used to people saying no to you.
Right.
Because in Atlanta, not a lot of people said no. Yeah. They wanted to come to Atlanta. But he said, you're going to have to get used to that, people saying no to you, which is not easy. And he's right.
It is a different situation entirely, and I do want to talk to you about a couple of Atlanta players who have really stood out to me lately. One is getting a lot of attention because he's going to be part of the All-Star game coming up, a player you know very well from Atlanta United's academy, the first academy player to make the All-Star team, and George Bello. And, by the way, started a Gold Cup final this summer. It's been a nice summer for George.
It's been a great summer for George. Yeah, I've been in touch with him all summer. He's my guy. I have a lot of respect for George, and obviously the pathway he's taken from ambush who did a great job with him when he was younger, through our academy into the first team, and obviously now he's on the. There's talk of European clubs looking at him and everything else. So his pathway has been very good, and obviously, like I said, I keep in touch with him, and we text back and forth about his performances and how he feels. But I'm very, very proud of him. Very proud of what he's done in the game so far, and I think, he's getting better and better. Every time I see him play, he looks better and better to me.
Another guy who it was described that on the TV call this weekend, I sounded like a proud papa talking about George Campbell, but you're the one who would be sounded like that if you were on TV talking about him. Campbell's been a blast to watch this year, whether it's been for the twos or with the first team, where he looks like he fits the MLS level like a glove right now. Yeah,
I've been over the moon with him. Over the moon for him. I mean, again, we go back to these conversations we had years ago, Jason, about silver medalists. Mm-hmm. George came through, didn't really break through until he was 17, and he was on his way to college, and he had a breakout year, and he ended up going pro, which some people doubted, especially the college that wanted him to go to college. But I've always believed in George's ability, and he's such a good kid, and his mentality's gotten stronger and stronger. He's physically gotten bigger and bigger. And now he's really turned the corner, and he's really starting to put some performances together. And again, I couldn't be more proud of him. He's a big deer on ice when he first came to Georgia United all those years ago. But he stuck to it, and his attitude has been 100% the whole time. And his mentality's good. Even when he didn't believe in himself, he always put forth his best effort. And I think that's the difference between good and great. And there's a lot of good players, but the great ones have a great mentality. They've got that winning mentality, and they're always striving to get better, And I think that sums George up completely.
You mentioned the mentality, and I'm sure that's something that you'll be working on instilling a lot with your new crop of players. It's something that your work has shown with Atlanta United too this year, and it's been commented on nationally from people who are calling Atlanta United 2 games and people that I've had conversations with. The mentality of the academy players who are stepping up, that next wave who are playing games this fall, somebody like Noah Cobb, plenty of others who are emerging at the USL level, and it doesn't shake them. The mentality and the preparation, after 5 years of the academy is so much further along than it was in the past. I know you have that kind of father feeling towards Bello and Campbell, but you've had to love watching the twos and some of these, next generation guys coming through and making their debuts.
Yeah, absolutely. I was part of the recruitment and bringing those guys in. Obviously, I've only been gone a couple of months, but, Noah, Lamy, Mejia, these guys who are stepping up and playing in games and playing well. I really hope that mentality stays with the academy. It's the accountability piece and the discipline and dedication part of the academy that we really preached in the early years is now coming to fruition. And I hope, I'm not involved anymore, but I hope that those standards are kept, and those things that some people deem as old school or what I call real school, some people don't find them as important as I did, and I hope, I think Matt will do a good job of keeping those core values intact, and hopefully, because it is necessary.
Yeah.
And I don't care what anyone says. There's all sorts of different techniques in development, but those basic core values of accountability and dedication and sacrifice and pressure, all those kids that are coming through have been put under pressure at some point to deal with that. So I really hope that continues, and it's great to see that these kids are stepping up and playing and doing really well. I'm really happy for them.
I want to finish with this, and what you said kind of sparks this for me. So you're in a different situation, and you have a ton of experience at so many different levels of the game, and now you're in a different situation, a different environment. Are you kind of finding yourself going back to some of those principles, that the old school or real school kind of mentality of going back to not the basics, but going back to some of those early days for you and revisiting that now that you're in a new environment?
Yeah, absolutely. I think to install my philosophy and to install the mentality of a team, you have to start somewhere, and you have to lay a foundation, and the foundation's strict, and the foundation's disciplined, and the foundation is full of sacrifice to build on, right? You've got to start somewhere, and you've got to have a strong foundation. The philosophy of the game and the game model and the principles of play all come after you've laid a foundation. Because I don't think you can move a team along without the foundations, without those basics, those basics of the game, those basics of humanity and human elements that are simple, like respect and discipline and being on time and working hard and being dedicated and sacrificing. Those are things that must come at the beginning, because if they don't, it's difficult to put them in once you're rolling and once you're going. You know, so I think those qualities come in way before you start talking about playing style and playing philosophy and game models and all that. You have to have a basic foundation on which to build on. So yeah, I've come in here and I've stripped it back to the studs a little bit on those elements. You know, I put a rule in that the players have to be at the training field with their boots on 15 minutes before the whistle blows for start of practice. 2 kids came at 5 minutes before and the gate was locked. And they're shaking the gates, asking me to open the gates. I said, no way. And those are the things that people have to learn. If you have a job and you turn up late, they'll dock your pay. If you have a job and you don't turn up, you get sacked. I mean, it's life lessons with sport, but it's the basics of respect and discipline and dedication.
100%. I'm looking forward to seeing how everything's coming together for you with the season opener on Thursday. I know you can watch on GamecocksOnline.com, and then again on Sunday as Winthrop comes to town. Really looking forward to it. Best of luck as you get your season started.
It's going to be a bumpy one, I think. But we've got to start somewhere, so we'll try and get.
It's going to be fun to watch the process. I'll catch up with you soon, Tony.
Thanks, Jason.